Today on DNVR Buffs Live, the aspect of this Colorado team that is still, to this point, being underappreciated. Let's jump in. Let's go.
Welcome into the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. It's DNVR Buffs Prime Time. Happy Tuesday on the bye week.
Beautiful day. Perfect day for what I call the Colorado tuxedo. Not just me, but many call it the Colorado tuxedo. Yes. Sweatshirt and shorts, baby. It's the perfect weather.
It really is. A little crispy this morning.
It's like sweatshirt in the morning, shorts in the afternoon. Why not just wear them both?
That's
It's
fair.
like the mullet of weather.
Business
in the front, party in the back.
I love it, man. This is when Colorado hits its prime, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, that prime window keeps getting smaller and smaller.
That it does.
But that's for a science podcast to talk about.
Exactly, yeah. We're not going to cover that on today's show. But today we will talk about what happened. We had pressers today. Coach Livingston, Coach Shurmur spoke after practice. I think the Buffs are off tomorrow, according to what Coach Prime said after the game on Saturday. So, bye week's kind of hitting its stride right now, getting some rest. We'll get some guys back, too, which is going to be huge.
Yep.
What you shouldn't do against Colorado's defense, we'll get to that here very shortly. Latest NFL mock drafts. The national media and CU, we're back again.
Are they?
We'll talk about it. But we'll talk about what other teams have really struggled doing against this Colorado defense first, because there's one thing that seems to stand out.
Yeah, well, and to me, it goes into what I think is by far the most underrated part of this team right now, and that is their physicality, their nastiness on the defensive side of the ball. And I think it's actually starting to translate a little bit to the offensive side of the ball. But in general, offense is going to be always have a little more finesse to it than defense. This defense, man, is nasty.
Yep.
They are going to hit you in the mouth. They are going to push you around. They are going to finish hits all game long and make other teams hit the ice bath afterwards. And Robert Livingston had a great quote about it today that I think kind of outlines it.
Yeah, definitely. So here's Coach Livingston, talking about what's really been, I think, one of the most impressive position groups on this team so far.
You mentioned Nakai and Levante. Every time I turn them on, they're always playing downhill. They're super physical. Have you guys coached them to play that way, or is that just who they are?
I think they were born that way. It's our job with guys like that, just get out of the way, right? Let them read their keys and let them play fast. And that's their strength. So we talked about, again, what is their strength? Their strength is they're the enforcers. This is still a physical game, and if they run between the tackles, there's got to be a price to pay. So, again, can't say enough about those two working together. Nakai coming in really after the North Dakota State game and bringing a spark to us. And Bentley's Bentley. You love the dude. You love his energy. You love everything he brings. So excited we have him, and excited to see the growth the rest of the year. Thanks, Coach. Thanks.
Enforcers.
If you run between the tackles, there's going to be a price to pay. One of the prices that you're going to pay is that you're not going to gain very much yardage.
Yep.
But the other price you're going to pay is that, Nakai and Bent are going to make you feel it.
Yep.
And what an absolute beautiful thing to have going for you as a football team. Even KJ Jefferson, who I thought had an okay game running the ball.
Yeah.
Mostly not great, but he did have some big pops, which we talked about before the game. There's no way you're going to be able to stop everything they do.
Yep.
Even I know he was in the ice bath after that game. Nakai got him good one time.
DJ got him back.
Yes, DJ got him back later in the game with a little shoulder. So I just love that attitude is starting to permeate. Both of these guys have talked about Ray Lewis as a hero for them, like someone they look up to. That's another guy who is just like, if you were playing him, you just knew have the team doctors on standby after this game. I'm going to need some treatment. So to me, that's the most underrated part of this. Is this team isn't all what everyone wants them to be, which is like flash and jewelry and cars and Louis and all this stuff. It's like all of that stuff is great, and that's part of the fun aspect of this.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone wants to typecast them as this finesse team.
Yep.
I've seen memes about it. All of a sudden, though, this team has teeth, real teeth, that strike fear into their opponents.
Yep.
And that, to me, can be the difference between them being good and them being great.
Yep. And Coach Livingston kind of said it there, too. And it's what he said ever since he's got here, just letting those guys be them. Like, the recruiting staff, I think, did a great job, especially with Nakai this last offseason, just looking for true thumpers at linebacker because they knew that's what they needed. They knew they had to be better in defending the run. They were down near the bottom of the country. As it stands right now, Colorado's about middle of the pack of the country in terms of yards allowed and rushing yards per attempt. But we've played 4 teams who their identity is really built around running the football in North Dakota State, Nebraska, Baylor, and now UCF.
Yes.
And you're going to face another one next week, too.
Yes. And that is honestly what excites me the most. Shout out to, I think I'm getting their names now. Dalton, I believe, is on the PFF College podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And he keeps talking about it. And it's such a great point. He keeps saying, I think the team that wins the Big 12 is going to have a really good quarterback and a great run defense.
Yeah.
Sound the alarms. That's exactly what this team has. Mm-hmm. They have the best quarterback in the country.
Yep.
And a great run defense. And all the people who wanted to pull total yards given up and how they're 82nd in that coming into the game were conveniently ignoring what you mentioned. So that they've been facing run-first teams.
Yeah.
And it's not about how many rush yards you give up. It's how many yards you're giving up per carry and also how those are coming. Remember, there's a big QB scramble for North Dakota State. Mm-hmm. 2, actually. There's a big QB scramble for Baylor.
Yep.
There's a wildcat run for CSU. And yes, those are all part of the picture. But what happens is you take those out, and you've taken out 300 yards off the sheet.
Yeah.
And that's why, going back to PFF, run stop rate is such an important thing because it's not just calculating how many yards you're giving up. It's calculating how often when the other team decides to run, do you stop them?
Yeah.
That's more important because you could stop a team all game and give up a 99-yard run, and all of a sudden it's going to look like you just had an average game against the run, when really you stopped the run all game except for one play.
Yep.
So this team's run defense is actually really, really great, and everyone that was doubting that before last week now has to turn their heads and say, okay, if they can hold UCF to half of their average, they're better than they're getting credit for. And so, like I said, it's not just defending the run, but it's being a force to be reckoned with as a defense from a physicality standpoint, from a mentality standpoint, from a toughness standpoint. That, to me, is starting to make this team look like it has the recipe for me.
Yep. Just with that, people like to pull out the stats right now, and if you look at them, it's not impressive. Just being straight up, where you look at where Colorado is defensively in total yards, rushing yards allowed, average yards per rush, it's not impressive. But if you watch the games and you get the full context, you understand what this team is doing, what this defense is built upon, and what they do really well. look at this secondary. You think teams want to throw on this secondary? Like, they didn't want to throw on them last year. And now, coming into this season, teams they're going to try and pick at our flaws, which we had last year, which was, stopping the run.
Yep.
And again, Coach Prime directly addressed that. He mentioned that. They went out and sought that in the portal, and they did a good job with their hits. But, you got to think about that in the context of things. Like, yeah, they're good. Teams are just going to run more on Colorado because they're not trying to throw at Travis and Preston and DJ and Cam.
Even Colton's locking up.
Yeah.
And here's another thing that is far more important than how many yards you gave up in a game. This is a stat from Brian Howell that he put out yesterday. During the 3-game winning streak that they're currently on since Nebraska, teams have made it into the red zone 11 times. In those 11 trips into the red zone, they have scored 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns in the red zone, 2 field goals in the red zone, 5 takeaways.
That's elite.
And a 4th down stop. So, again, 11 times into the red zone, 6 of the times they made it into the red zone, they came away with 0 and without the ball.
Yeah.
5 times they scored, 3 times were touchdowns. That is why, the total yardage, all of that stuff doesn't necessarily add up with what we've seen because this team is doing the bend, don't break thing.
Yep.
And they're doing it at an elite level.
Yep.
And by the way, during that time, again, credit to Brian Howell here, Colorado's red zone offense in those 3 games, 9 possessions, 9 scores, 8 touchdowns, 1 field goal.
I mean, that's where games are won and lost in the red zone.
Exactly.
And I think I said it on the show yesterday. I was sitting next to Adam in the press box, and I told him when they were down, like, backs against the wall late before the Cam fumble and scoop and score, I was like, I feel way more comfortable with this team in the red zone trying to defend rather than, from their own 20 and they got to defend a whole football field.
And here's the other thing, and I don't have a stat to back this up, but I feel it, which is that even if the teams are moving the balls between the 20s, they're working hard to do it.
Yeah.
It is not like first down, 16 yards, first down, 8 yards, second down, 7 yards. It's like 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, maybe even 3rd and 7 gets converted, or they're getting all the way to 4th and 1 like UCF did on their first drive. They're able to convert that and move the ball and keep the drive alive. But every series of downs, this defense is making opponents work.
Yep. Absolutely, man. We'll get to clips here in a second. But again, yeah, they're facing another team in this similar archetype too. Like, CU now has 4 games under their belt where they know they have to focus on just stopping the run, and then kind of everything will follow at that point. And the other thing with this defense, they're not giving up massive chunks of yardage at a time too. Like, you're going to be able to find them, obviously. Like, we all know which ones they are, which plays those happen, but it's not like every drive there's a 20, 30-yard gain. And this defense on 3rd down too, they've been putting in work on 3rd down, this whole season. I wouldn't be surprised if their rate is below 50% right now and allowing the other team to convert on 3rd down. So, you add that in with the red zone percentage, the tendency to contain big plays, and also just tackle really well. I mean, that was another issue last year this defense faced that they've really greatly improved, and it's paying dividends. Totally.
And what you mentioned about how they're playing teams with the same style, I think is why Dalton from the PFF podcast was saying, that's the team that wins this conference to be a team that stops the run, because everyone wants to do that. It's also an advantage for Colorado's offense that a lot of these teams are spending week to week focusing on how to stop the run.
Right.
And then here comes one of the most prolific passing offenses in the country.
Yep. Definitely, man. It's all about balance, right?
Yep.
Coach Prime's talked about it a lot. And we're starting to see, and you've heard it, we'll get into the national stuff, but the national media is talking about how well-rounded and balanced this team is looking and how it's the best it's seemed in that department since Coach Prime has been at Colorado.
And quickly, just on balance, last 3 games, 9 red zone trips, 8 touchdowns. It didn't really apply in the CSU game. I don't think they rushed it into the end zone much there. But last 2 games, multiple rushing touchdowns.
3
rushing touchdowns last week. 1
against Baylor.
Yeah, no, against UCF. How many rushing touchdowns? I know Micah had 1.
Oh, for CU?
Yep.
We had 2.
Okay, so 2.
Dallin and Micah.
Right, Dallin. Yeah. So the reason I just bring that up is because usually teams with good red zone offenses run the ball well in the red zone.
Exactly. And we're seeing that too. All right, let's take our first break and shout out our friends over at Empire Today. We've told you guys, but we can't stress enough how beautiful this floor looks in here and how tough it is too.
Could play defense for Colorado. It's so tough.
Probably, yeah. We could have Nikai Hill-Green doing like pregame warm-ups on this floor, and it'd probably look the same after. But hit them up for your home or business if you need a new flooring. And they've got a great deal, one of the best deals we've had on this show. Schedule a free in-home estimate today, and all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when you use the promo code DNVR. Some restrictions apply, and see empiretoday.com/DNVR for details. But they're the homies. They got us looking right. Hit them up to have your home and business looking right too.
Also, shout out to our friends over at Bet365. Use the code DNVR365 when you sign up. Deposit $10 and unlock the bet and get offer, which all you have to do for that is to bet $5 on anything. And as soon as the bet settles, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. By the way, did you see our guy who reached out to us this week and said they put all $200 in bonus bets on Buffs money line?
What a legend.
So sick. So you could have done that, and you could have turned your 200 into 1,000, right?
It was plus. I got it at plus 450 before we left Denver. So
$1,000.
Yeah.
Pretty sick. So you can do that. Not quite as much this week, but Buffs are 7.5-point underdogs. So if you want to stay on that train, I'm not allowed. But get in on it. Of course, you must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Shout out to our friends over at Bet365.
Shout out Bet365. All right, listen, we're going to do the rest of the press conference clips. We talked about it, kind of containing KJ Jefferson, and he did have some pops. He ran the ball 20 times for 76 yards, had a touchdown. He was efficient-ish throwing the football, 20 of 35, but 284 yards. Of course, the 75-yarder, a big one.
Yep.
But the 2 interceptions. Here's Coach Livingston talking about how they were able to contain KJ Jefferson last Saturday.
How encouraged were you that you guys were able to contain the quarterback run even more effectively than maybe you had in previous weeks? Maybe was your experience dealing with Lamar kind of play a factor there?
Yeah, a little bit. I think in terms of body type, they're about as different as you could imagine. He was a big man, and Lamar is not a small man by any means. But again, it's a coach speak answer, so I apologize. But the guys were solid on the plan. I thought the defensive ends played really well. It was great to see Art Walker, Sam have a huge day, and then Tajay obviously with 2 sacks for a young kid. You love that for him. And then that we were disruptive on the inside. Again, if we can play that way, if we can dominate, with the front 7, the linebackers playing downhill, I can't say enough about 41 and 20. I mean, the way they played the last 2 weeks has been really, really special. Coach Hart, Coach Hilo has done a great job with those guys. So, if we can play that way, that's what you want. It makes my job pretty easy. So, again, the D-line came to play, and it'll be a new week next week, so we'll see what we get.
So there's a lot to get into there, but what he said at the end about Coach Hilo, and I feel like he's been kind of underrated in terms of his impact on this team. Obviously, Coach Hart's the linebackers coach, and Coach Hilo comes in a bit late this year. But his relationship with Nikai, I think, is paying dividends. That goes back to Michigan. And then just having another set of eyes, having someone who's been everywhere in college football, championship programs, to help out in the background. Because, look, winning in the run game is about winning one-on-one matchups, right? And that's just what didn't happen for Colorado last year, especially in the front 7. But they're winning one-on-one this year. 100%.
And it's a beautiful thing to watch that entire front 7 work in unison. It looks like a real defense out there. I know we just kind of talked about that for a while, but it's just so awesome. And last week we did our show where we said the player who could change everything for Colorado against UCF. It's one of our biggest shows we've ever done, by the way. Shout out to anyone who became a new viewer on that show. But it was Block Bully.
Yep.
And to his credit, Block Bully went in and dominated.
Yes, he did.
He really dominated in that game.
He's so strong.
He's so strong. I mean, he choke slammed one of the biggest running backs in college football.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, the time that Anquin Barnes spent out there while Block Bully was on the bench is paying dividends for Colorado as well. Because in that game, you were able to put both of them on the field at the same time, which maybe they would have, maybe they wouldn't. I don't know if that's something that they would have felt comfortable doing before they saw Big Quinn out there doing his thing and maturing over that 3-game sample size. But it's like those two next to each other is incredibly formidable for any offensive line from a size and strength component that they're going to have to deal with. But then also you can rotate those guys.
Yep.
Again, a lot has changed about this team since week 1.
Yeah.
And there's something that I was preaching on the post-game show after week 1. I was like, look, hey, that's an ugly win. But the reason I say a win is because this team still has time to get better.
Definitely.
And what's happened since then? Anquin Barnes has come and become a big part of it. Nikhai Hill-Green didn't even start that game, nor did he play that much. So much has changed since then, and now this team is like just stacking building blocks on top of each other. And like you mentioned, we saw what getting Block Bully back could do for you. Well, now you get Shiloh back after this. I mean, and you continue adding back to what is a growing foundation. Shane Cokes has been really good. Forced fumble in the game.
That's exactly where I was going to go. I mean, and we talked about it all this offseason. The fact that we've got real edge rushers now, like actual, like a variety in play styles and body types and just size on the defensive line to allow Shane to go back to kind of a more natural position where he's not playing over the center or over a guard every single play. He can kind of play that 5 technique type stuff. That's been a massive impact. And same with, Levanta, like the jump that he's made from his first year here at Colorado to this year, all I heard about was Coach Prime can't coach, but he's putting these guys in great positions to succeed after learning what they truly could do well and what they couldn't do well last year.
100%. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see all these guys finding their roles, fitting in, and going out there and making plays, especially the guys who were here last year, who were part of a defense that got pushed around at times.
Yeah, man. Last clip from Livingston. We talked about this already too, but here's Coach on the red zone defense and how CU has been able to be so successful in those situations.
Yeah, I think the rallying cry defensively has always got to be yards don't equal points. So as long as you play great situational defense, so that's third down, that's the red zone, that's 2 minute. It's 2024. These guys get paid too, so they're going to make some plays. So just tighten the screws when you have to. Again, it's a testament to Coach Mathis. He's our red zone master. He's our red zone guru each week, so he does a great job. We put a plan together, and the players go out and execute. So, I can't say enough about, again, the group of men we have both on the 4th floor here as the staff as well as the players. So it makes my job pretty easy.
So Kevin Mathis, the red zone master, huh?
Let's go. I love it. Again,
that's the value of NFL experience, man.
Yeah. Well, and complementary football goes beyond just the field. You know what I mean? This is coaches complimenting each other. Heck, the administration complimenting the football. When you talk about Alabama and Georgia, that is top down type of complementary football. Everyone is invested in the best things happening, and so I'm getting away from the point a little bit, but it feels like this coaching staff is on the same page, and that's huge. And then gosh, there's so many awesome clips that came out of this weekend, but we talked about the one yesterday of Coach Prime going into Coach Shurmur and saying, hey, let's get out of bounds, give me 5 yards, let's set up Mata for one that he can make. Boom, execution. They score 6 points in the last minute of the game. How about you've got Shedeur, Travis, and LeJontay surrounding Pat Shurmur, telling him about the coverage and setting up the touchdown to Will Shepherd. He's saying, hey, they're bracketing me over here. So if we run that dig, then that's gonna bring that safety down, and we can throw a post over the top of it. And you see Pat's gears turning. He's like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And then the clip cuts, of course, but then the next clip is the defense following the middle of the field and Will Shepherd going over the top of it. It's that's complimentary too. Players working with coaches. It's just awesome.
This just happens in time. Last year, people, of course, we got off to the hot start and everything, but no one allowed Coach Prime and this staff time to grow, to learn. They expected it to all be instant right away. And the fact that results weren't coming right away was the cause of all the criticism. But now that this is all starting to come together and people are more comfortable, players more comfortable talking to coaches. Coaches more comfortable taking feedback from players. Just it's much more of a team dynamic, as you were saying, and it's really cool to see. And that's what winning football teams do.
100%. And it goes all the way back to, everything Coach Prime did in the offseason to try and make this become more of a team.
Yep.
And even the hires he made on the coaching staff where people, that he trusted. And, Coach Jay Phil is like a guy that he's like, I want Jay Phil in here. I know him. I trust him. I know exactly what to expect from him. Warren Sapp, like bringing in people that will fit into the culture. I know he doesn't like that word, but that you're trying to build, the same way that when we're looking to hire someone here, it's like who fits in with the people that are already here,
right?
And is going to, complement these people well. There's one other point I wanted to make on that, but it just escaped me.
All right, we'll go to Pat Shurmur. Then. Go ahead.
Just a random thing that I noticed watching Well Off. A little thing about just team and everyone coming together and it being about everyone. Coach Prime saying it's, I think it was around the spring game or maybe a little bit after when he said, like, it's not my theme song anymore. It's going to be y'all's theme song.
Yeah.
And, like, now the leadership group comes together and they have a theme song for each week. There's little things like that are just, like, growth, And
it takes time. Let's go to Pat Shurmur's press conference. We just have the one clip, but we didn't play this on the show. But I told you yesterday, and I showed you the clip yesterday, of UCF's defensive coordinator talking about, did Colorado do something that kind of threw you guys off that you weren't prepared for? And it was 11 personnel and how versatile that made the Buffs last weekend. So here's Pat Shurmur talking about, the implementation of 11 personnel and why it was so successful.
Yeah, I think it's important that we're able to use more personnel groupings. Obviously, the world knows we're primarily a 10 personnel team because that fits what we are personnel-wise. But I think in order to play a balanced offense where you can run the ball and protect the passer, we have to play in a little bit of 11. And obviously, the impact the tight end makes in that is important. So he did a really good job, probably his best game to date, but he had more opportunities. And it made sense for us. Each week it's different, right? Each week, each team we play presents a different challenge. Some weeks we can stay in 4 open, 10 personnel. And other weeks it's going to make sense to be in 11 and sometimes 12. And so, the tight ends doing what they're supposed to do and what we're asking them to do, it's big.
Again, the team is just growing. They're getting better each week. They're adding more to the playbook. More players are making plays that are going to get playing time, like Savell. Like, I think that's a big reason why 11 personnel is becoming more prevalent is because Savell is finally, really getting to know the tight end position, what's expected of him, and what he has to do on a down in, down out basis.
Yeah, it's exciting to see, man, because people forget that we're talking about a 5-star athlete here.
Yes.
This isn't like a walk-on who found his way into the lineup. This is a 5-star athlete who is discovering a new position that obviously he played a bit in high school, but truly getting a feel for it. And you're finally starting to see, in my opinion, the traits that made him that 5-star caliber player start to shine on offense. And, like, this guy's coming in motion from the slot to hit the edge.
Yeah.
That's a big man barreling down on you to open up that hole. So, like, it's exciting to watch this thing come together. And you said it, but it's important to even double down on it. Like, every week, and right now you have 2 weeks to do it, you're adding a little bit more, throwing in another wrinkle. There's a new player you're comfortable with playing. In this case, it's Savell, that you're like, oh, okay, we can build on this package with him. And we can, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a tight end throwback screen coming up soon that's involved for him. All of these different things. And the play calling on Saturday was just so spot on. And I mean, speaking of Savell, 2 plays in a row, they run that motion, kind of like split zone type action with Isaiah Gustav. They break it big both times. 3rd play action, same action, play action.
Yeah.
And now you've got 6 people in there to protect Shedeur. He throws it back shoulder to Jimmy. They just miss it, but it was just like, Man, that's like what we're talking about. You're telling a story. You're telling the defense something and then changing, and it was just awesome.
Some more quotes from Pat Shurmur. He was asked a lot about Travis, obviously. Just talking about what's his greatest ability, really, and he said it's his ball skills. We've known that. We've talked about that, but Pat Shurmur said anytime there's a ball in the air near him, we got a really, really good chance he's going to catch it, whether he's playing offense or defense. Then Pat Shurmur's asked, NFL scouts are at practice all the time at Colorado. What are they looking for in Travis? Are they looking at him as a cornerback, wide receiver, or both? Pat said both. Any team is going to be very, very lucky to have Travis. They just got to decide where they want to play him. He's displaying every week why he can be an impact player on both sides of the ball. And then Jaylen Miller, he said, Jaylen Miller is really good at football. We've used him as a wideout running back. I think it makes sense for him to get a couple of touches a game, as the flow of the game dictates sometimes more. And he's probably, if we had to do like a power rankings of the next player to become like a real weapon in the CU offense, Savel's getting there right now. It seems like Draylen's next in line though.
Yes, and we talked about it a lot. The move he put on the dude on Baylor, where he had him tackling a ghost. Yeah, he threw that same kind of like dead leg juke this week, and it didn't pop as much, but it absolutely shook him free. Mm-hmm. He's got some serious power when he puts a foot in the ground that I think eventually we're going to see him break a big one off of that.
You saw it in his very first game against North Dakota State. I think he only had 3 or 4 touches, but on 2 or 3 of those touches, he was dancing around making guys look silly.
Yep.
Like pulling crazy moves.
I know. And I mean, I would love to see like a wheel route for him, but at the same time, everyone's afraid to play man against this team, so it doesn't work quite as well.
Right. All right, let's chill and shout out our friends over at Coors Light. It's the bye week. This is the week made for Coors Light for us, for Buff Nation.
They're all made for Coors Light, to be honest.
They are, but this one is, it hits a little different when you're on bye. You can kind of just kick back and relax even that little bit more.
It's true. I got invited to do something on Saturday from 2 to 6.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no.
Not this week.
I'm going to watch college football from my couch from 10 a.m. until probably 1 a.m.
Let's go. That's how it's meant to be done. You can do that at home with the Coors Light, or you can come hang out at the DNVR bar. We got the Silver Bullet cans. We got Coors Light on draft and the Stubby Banquet bottles as well. Make the most out of times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get it delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Shout out Coors Light.
Coors Light.
Shout out Circle K. You know the story, Circle K. We need you to move on down here.
Please.
Because we love you. But even if you don't, we are, 3 weeks away from our next road trip. Mm-hmm. We'll at the very least see you then, but we'll probably see you even sooner than that because we love those 79-cent any size Polar Pops. And of course, we love the deal we get on gas and snacks by being members of the Inner Circle Rewards program. So download the Circle K app and sign up for the Inner Circle for exclusive offers. New offers, purchase clubs, and sweepstakes are updated weekly. Hit up our friends over at Circle K.
All right, we've hinted at this throughout this show, but you guys see it. I mean, if you're following college football, if you follow this team, you're seeing it right now. How the national media is talking about CU after that win against UCF, and how, you got Paul Feinbaum talking about how he's wiping the egg off his face and stuff. Like, everyone's walking back all their takes, but we know what they're doing, right?
Yeah, excuse my language, earmuffs for the kids. I fucking hate this. It makes me so frustrated. Because they have to talk about us.
Yep.
They have no choice because we're the most interesting thing going on in college football, maybe in sports right now. Mm-hmm. But right now, they have nothing to hate on.
Yep.
And so they have no options but to say nice things about us. And I'm just like Shedeur and Travis with Cam Newton walking over and trying to act cool. And I'm like, no. Keep that same energy. Stay over there. I don't even want you guys over here. Mm-hmm. But right now, I mean, they've got 2 weeks where they don't have an opportunity to say anything bad about us. So they're just going to have to say, oh, yeah, we're eating crow. Sorry, Buffs.
Yep.
Our bad. Nah, screw that.
No, I completely agree. You got the Cover 3 podcast, who we're very aware of in Buff Nation. They're talking about Colorado making the CFP now. When in the offseason, those guys were talking about how this recruiting strategy isn't going to work. You can't build a program this way. Which is it?
I don't know, but
Well, we know which one it really is.
it's going to be a new brand of receipt coming out, the This You receipt.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are going to start pretending like they've been here all along.
It's going to happen in the NFL draft, too. All the people who said Travis is too small. He can't do both ways. Shedeur's not the best quarterback in this draft. You know, he can't do this and that.
Bro, forget the best quarterback. I have receipts on receipts of people saying Shedeur's not a top 3 round pick.
Yeah. Oh, I have some, too. I have some, too.
Which is just a good reminder to go screenshot those. So, yeah, it's like this is a story, you know, that you always hear in sports. Like, so the Rockies' first ever game was at Mile High, whatever, the old Mile High. I think it held like 70,000 people, and they won on they had a home run on the first at bat. Like, it was this legendary thing, and it's like the old story is like 70,000 people were there, but 700,000 people say they were there.
Yeah.
You know, everyone, oh yeah, I was there. That's exactly what this is going to be.
Yep.
There was however many thousand of us here saying that this was going to happen, but 10 times that are going to say that they said this too.
Yep. No, we remember what they said when we were trying to put the word out about this team. And we won't.
And there's
forget.
still work to be done. You know,
Of course there is.
The work is not over. It's not fully time to serve up plates of crow yet, but the thing is, they can feel. I love that they can feel it.
Yeah, they are starting to feel it.
They're starting to feel, this team's actually good. This is no longer just like a hype wave that is carrying them. It's like, no, they have the ingredients to make some serious noise. So let me try and get ahead of this a little bit and make sure that I'm not on the wrong side of it when they're 6-1, 7-1, you know, whatever it could end up being. It is funny watching people start to feel the pressure a little bit and see like, oh, maybe I can still get ahead of this a little bit.
Especially those who happen to be sided with FSU, who's now 1-4, and they're talking about firing that coach. And look at where Colorado is.
Yep.
I'm sure some of you have seen this too. There's a new mock draft out there from SB Nation. This is the first one I've seen like this.
I pointed one out months ago, and everyone got mad at me because it was from Walter Football.
Well, they've had a rough time recently. I don't know if you've seen that too.
I don't know. I haven't seen anything, but all I said was, how sick would this be? And everyone's like, why are you citing this source? I'm like, I'm not citing it as a source. I was just sharing a cool thing of these two names being 1-2 in the draft.
I didn't think it was possible for Walter Football's name to be any lower than it was, but whatever happened in the last 2 weeks or so, it's gotten really bad.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'll tell you about it. Anyways, in this mock draft, first overall, they've got the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting Travis Hunter, cornerback, Colorado.
In the words of Coach Prime, Travis.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
That was so funny. Pick number 2.
Also, the Jags being back to the number 1 pick would just be kind of unreal.
It shouldn't be allowed at this point.
But also, let me just ask you this. Well, go ahead. Who picks?
Who's picking number 2 is the Tennessee Titans. And they pick number 2, Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado.
Very fitting. 2 going number 2. But let me just ask you this. If the Jacksonville Jaguars, with Trevor Lawrence as their quarterback, are bad enough to have the number 1 overall pick, what in the world are they doing drafting Travis Hunter and not Shedeur Sanders? Mm-hmm. Am I right?
It's a fair question, I think.
If you are like 2-15 with the guy who was supposed to be the generational prospect at quarterback, and it's year 4 for him?
Yeah.
You're doing the wrong thing by not picking quarterback.
Yep. I still think it's entirely possible Shedeur goes first overall. Like,
me too.
And I think there's a path and a timeline too where, you know, CU goes on to have a great season. Maybe both end up in New York, but Travis wins the Heisman, but Shedeur still goes first overall in the draft. It's just how it works. Quarterbacks are more valuable.
And I could completely see that. It's really interesting, but I think whatever it comes down to is the team. If the team that drafts number 1 overall needs a quarterback, it's going to be Shedeur. If the team that drafts number 1 overall like drafted a quarterback last year or something, because what do we have? 7 first-round quarterbacks, 6 first-round quarterbacks,
6 last year, I think.
So there's a very good chance that one of those teams ends up picking number 1. they're probably not going to go back to back. And that's when I think Travis goes number 1.
I'm looking at this mock draft. Only 3 quarterbacks go in the first round. Of course, they have Shedeur at 2. But they also have Jalen Milroe going 9th overall to the Giants. And then Cam Ward going 21st overall to the Raiders. No Carson Beck or Quinn Ewers, who we spent all offseason debating if Shedeur was better than.
Interesting, huh? By the way, I didn't waste any of my time debating that because I knew the answer.
Oh, we knew the truth.
I will say Milroe is nasty.
Look, man, look at what Kalen DeBoer did with Michael Penix.
Yeah. Milroe is not, and he's going to be a really fun draft prospect.
Yeah.
Because it's just like elite athleticism, a cannon arm, and like a lot of potential to work with, you know? But Shedeur, from a polish standpoint, I don't know the last time that I've seen a quarterback going into the draft that has this much polish.
People are they're so consumed by the social media, the off the field stuff that
Off the field stuff. I don't even like that phrase because it alludes to something like he's getting in trouble.
I agree, but it's what it is. Like, they have no legitimate on field criticisms other than maybe he holds the ball a bit too long, which we all like. I'm sure Shedeur knows that too, but they're not valid criticisms.
Yeah, and the holds the ball too long thing is people that just want to focus on the negative side of it will just find a way to show you like 12 highlights of Shedeur running around and end up losing yards.
Right.
They'll ignore the 15 highlights of him spinning out of a sack and then getting it downfield for a 30-yard gain.
Exactly.
So it is something that I think NFL teams will want him to work on, not because they're afraid of him trying to work his magic, but because he's so willing to take a hit in those situations.
Yep.
And I think a team that's going to invest, $100 million into Shedeur is going to say, please don't wait till the last second on these plays to get it off so you get smashed by a 340-pound lineman. But I do think that the hold on to the ball too long thing, if you just get caught up looking in the negative, you'll miss some of Shedeur's best plays, which are him extending the play and then, uncorking one down the field.
Exactly. Do you want to play a little game real quick?
I love games.
So I'm looking here at Tankathon. We're just going to do the top 10 projected 2025 NFL draft order right now. Give me a 1 to 10 on like fit for Shedeur.
Okay, this is going to test my knowledge of like who's running these offenses.
I mean, sure, yeah, like offenses, weapons, uniforms. I don't care, whatever you feel. We'll start going backwards. Number 10, the New York Giants.
Oh gosh, this is very high.
I agree.
I don't want to give away any 10s, so I'm going to say that this is a 8.
The Arizona Cardinals.
And let me just expand on that. Shedeur and Malik Neighbors.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And then also, like, I don't know if there's ever been a quarterback more fit to handle the New York media
100%.
than Shedeur.
Yep. The Arizona Cardinals. We know they have Kyler Murray on a big money deal. Any chance?
No.
Okay.
2.
The LA Rams. Stafford is getting older. They haven't really committed to the future beyond him in terms of quarterback. It is a team a bit in disarray right now, but...
Yeah, so what are they working with weapons-wise? Kyron Williams, really good running back.
Of course, Kupp and Puka, but they're both hurt right now, too.
Okay. Kupp's old.
Older.
Okay. Puka's really nice. And then again, going back to like, if you're in LA and you want the Rams to, be cool in LA,
yeah,
get Shedeur Sanders as your quarterback.
The Carolina Panthers.
So that's a 7.5 for me.
Okay. The Carolina Panthers.
0.
I agree.
Yeah. Shedeur Sanders will not be a Carolina Panther.
I think so.
Period.
The Tennessee Titans.
So, lacking in the weapons department.
They still got Nuke, DeAndre Hopkins, but he's older too now.
Yep. Tony Pollard looks kind of good.
They missed on Treylon Burks.
Yep.
Nashville, though.
5.
Okay. The Cleveland Browns. Of course, they have a whole situation to figure out with their quarterback.
Yeah, how are they?
I don't think that it'd be feasible for them.
Yeah, one.
Cincinnati is a big no, I think.
Yep.
New England is probably a no. They just drafted Drake May.
Yep.
Miami.
12.
It'd be an incredible fit.
Could you imagine? I actually saw someone had posted an edit today of Shedeur in a Dolphins jersey. Oh my
It'd
god.
go hard. Then Jacksonville.
That one's such a weird one. I'll be honest, it's a huge knock on them for me that like they somehow broke Trevor Lawrence.
Doug EP was just, he is what he is, I guess. He had a great year to get them to the Super Bowl, but he's an okay coach.
Yeah, I don't know.
At
It's
best.
weird seeing Trevor Lawrence look that bad, though.
Yeah.
I'll put that as a 5.
Okay.
That was fun.
There's, of course, some other options. We'll do this again. This was fun. But we'll track throughout the NFL season. Let's take our last break and shout out to some of my only friends out in Colorado. Westera Credit Union. For real, though, they got me hooked up as soon as I moved out here. Super easy process to get signed up, opening a checking account, and all that stuff with them. It's their 90th anniversary out here in Colorado. They've been doing it for a long time. And with that, they've got a few rates and deals that you could take advantage of out here. Their Smart Money checking account is made for those who want to make small balances earn big returns. You can earn up to 6% annual percentage yield on your first $2,000 each month. That's up to $120 a year. But yeah, hit them up if you like earning money by doing the things you're already doing with your checking account. Visit westeracu.com/smartmoney for more details. Membership eligibility required, insured by NCUA. Restrictions and conditions apply.
Also, shout out to friends over at Chinook Seedery, best seeds in the game. They're always hooking us up with plenty of seeds for our road trips or for just daily use here at the DNVR bar. You're never far from someone crunching on some seeds here at the DNVR bar and in the DNVR office. So get over to Chinook Seedery, try out the Parmesan pepper, try out the Hatch chili, try out the barbecue.
Cinnamon toast.
If you want some dessert seeds. Pretty crazy. Anyways, go over to ChinookSeedery.com. Use code BUFFS for 20% off your order. Check them out. Wait, can you scroll up really quick? There was a comment from like USD or something like that. Keep going. There it is. USD reviews. It says, dude, you guys have Deion Sanders as your head coach. Think about that. It's Deion Sanders. Awesome to me. And the only reason I bring this up is because that thought crosses my mind like 5 times a week.
100%. Yeah.
Like, you're sitting there, there's a rain delay, you're waiting for the game, you're just like, oh my God, please start. And then a video drops and it's like Rick Ross in the locker room with Colorado.
Yep.
And you're just like, this is sick. This is never going to get old.
Yep.
I mean, it's T.O. on the sideline. Warren Sapp.
There were 5 Hall of Famers on the sideline for Colorado.
Devin Hester.
Michael Irvin.
Like walked out with the team.
Yep.
And then I saw Miami fans like, why don't you do this for your alma mater?
He did.
Well, and then it's just like, did they ask?
He was there on Friday night.
He was?
Yes.
That's hilarious. I thought he was at Buffs practice on Friday night.
Which was in Florida, in Orlando.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was Thursday night he was at practice.
Well, I thought he was with Miami for the Virginia Tech game, whenever night that was.
Okay, that was Friday.
So, all right, to the chat we go. Diallo, what's up? Why are people complaining about a night game at Folsom? I don't understand.
Gotta have something to complain about, right?
I guess so.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. Most reasons, I think, is people don't stay up that late normally. So, especially on the East Coast, I understand. I've been out there for a game. I actually was out there one time for a Buffs game that started at 11:30 local time.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was at ASU, and that was wild. So I get it. I know, obviously, everyone wants the games to be in the middle of the day. But at the same time, It is so much better than, in my opinion, playing the 11 a.m. slot on Pac-12 Network every week because nobody wants to watch your game.
Yep.
The fact that we keep getting primetime slots, and this one isn't quite primetime, it's like an hour after it, but it's, I think, the best slot that ESPN had to offer this week for a Big 12 game.
Yep.
That's why we're getting it. I don't know, man. I remember when we got like one night game per year, and it was like that was always the blackout game, and it was the game that everyone looked forward to the most because it's like, oh yeah, it's going to be lit in there. The fans are going to be a little extra toasty, and it's going to be the time of our lives. So the fact that that's the best thing we have to complain about right now is good news to me.
You got to look on the bright side of it. A late Saturday game means you get to watch all the morning slate. You get to tailgate early. Mm-hmm. You don't have to rush to the stadium. Worry about staying up too late on Friday or whatever. Like, you got to look on the bright sides.
That is true. Your Friday night is fully open.
Yeah.
You can turn up however much you want. Saturday morning, you're at least going to get through. I mean, you could probably get through the 10 a.m. and the 1 o'clock games before heading to the game if you wanted to. So I'm also a night owl, and I know you are too, so it affects me way less.
Yeah, for sure. Jason asked, what is the status of Tyler Johnson and why is he not in the lineup? We haven't gotten a status update on Tyler Johnson since I asked after Nebraska, I think.
Yeah.
CSU. I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Smuggles, how long is Kam going to be out? And I don't know. I think it was a sports hernia.
He was there at UCF.
So he made the travel list.
Well, yes, but he wasn't suited up.
Okay. Well, and then he went to CSU, but he was in the stands also. So
I just saw in the well off or something. I saw him running out in the team with his jersey on, but no pads.
Okay. Hopefully sooner rather than later. I don't think they're obviously in a rush at all. We've got so many wide receivers, but
yeah. And at this point, I mean, there's 7 games left in the season.
Yep.
So if you don't get him back soon, then you want to start thinking about redshirting him.
Well, and we have 2 this week, and then we have another bye week at the end of this month, beginning of November, too.
Yep.
So I think we'll see Kam on the field at some point. Indie Woman says, have they released a list of red shirts? Will they? Probably not. That's just an end-of-year thing.
Also, this version of the program doesn't really release anything.
Right, yeah.
Which I don't care. We find out usually.
You can just kind of figure it out by mid-season. Like, look at the freshmen who have actually played and who haven't, and that's a pretty good idea.
Yep. But also, I just mean like I said, we sometimes hear about things and we can't always share it on the show. But like, there was a new D-line coach for a while before it was announced.
Right.
There's George Hilo, I think, got discovered in a well-off video.
Yep. New players have gotten discovered through well-off.
There's players who come, players who go, and it just doesn't. We're not really a press release program.
Fine by me.
Yeah, that's what I said. It is what it is.
Jasmine, what's the exact number y'all need to hit 100K subs? Can we get a countdown? Go Buffs. Go Buffs.
It's actually a great idea to put as like a upper thing that we can run on all shows. Little ticker of how close we are.
It says 90.4 on my phone.
All right, I got 90.4 as well, so we are 9,600 away.
Hit the subscribe button. Also hit the thumbs up button.
I think we've been adding like a couple hundred a day.
Love it. Dave the Boss says, do you think Jaylen Wester will play more against KSU to cover the running back on the wheel route out of the backfield? Because Wester is fast, quick, and can lay the wood. No, did he? Yeah.
I think you're going to see more and more Jaylen Wester throughout.
I mean, obviously, with Trevor and JB.
Yep.
And
that you guys talked about that on the pregame show, or
we talked about it on postgame. Yeah.
Okay. So Trevor and JB both redshirting. Mm-hmm. We don't know any details on that yet.
Yeah, I don't know what their next move is, but they're not playing the rest of the year.
Yep. But Jay West played really well when he went in there. Mm-hmm. I felt like he matched the physicality that those other guys bring to the game.
Yep.
We'll see what they do. You're going to see a wheel route. Probably to Dylan Edwards.
Yep.
Let's not let that happen.
Yep.
But honestly, doesn't matter. Bet, Jay West, Nakai, Trevor Wood, none of those guys are covering him one-on-one in that situation.
Well, this is why I think the addition of Shiloh is going to be so huge. Not only do you get Shiloh back, but the possibility of maybe even moving Kam or Carter into the box on dime package situations, or even in just base situations, having them cover the back instead.
That's a great idea.
Lloyd asks where all the CU players supporting the program. They're definitely supporting.
I'm guessing that's in reference to like the Devin Hester thing we were talking about, but like those guys are always around.
Yeah, Coach invites those. Cordell Stewart's like there all the time with Coach.
Michael Westbrook, Daniel Graham, Charles Johnson.
But like I see Chidobe, Awuzie tweeting about the team. Paul Richardson's been tweeting about the team a lot.
Yep.
They're out there.
Oh yeah, Joel Klatt, like all of these guys are around and invited.
Yes. AJ says, you see Cormani McClain was at the Colorado versus UCF game. Yeah, and guys, we got to just let Cormani live.
I think that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, just let him do his thing, though. Like, it's fine. Like, he's at the game.
Were people hating on that?
It was just a big stink for the post-game show and stuff. Like,
okay.
Oh, Cormani was there, blah, blah.
I assumed he was there to support his old teammates. And
yeah,
I thought that was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. BoTube says, who is the most anticipated player to return after the bye?
Got to be Shiloh.
So we got Shiloh, we got Dayon, we got.
By the way,
Khalil.
that was another thing I wanted to mention earlier. I was getting like panic texts from friends when the news came out that Dayon Hayes was out the other day.
Yeah.
Did not skip a beat.
Tajay McCoy
Yes.
comes in and has 2 sacks.
I know. And
Arden Walker.
Yes, yeah. That's what I mean. Just what a display of depth. Because you mentioned edge depth earlier.
Yeah.
Just Dayon's played really well. And he goes out and you would never notice that Colorado was missing a starter on their defensive line.
Sammy Sachs had his best game as a Colorado Buffalo.
And he had a strip sack.
Yeah.
Lucky job by KJ Jefferson to pinch that thing to his side.
Any other quarterback in the country, Shedeur included, loses that football.
Yeah, that was impressive strength for him to like pin it to his hip and hold on to it. But Sammy Sachs was really good across the board in that game.
Yep.
Arden Walker
So was Arden, yeah.
had like 4 tackles out of 6 plays at one point. Mm-hmm. Just absolutely eating up the read option.
Yep. Bubba says, just an FYI, I randomly check to make sure I'm subscribed, and for some reason my account gets unsubscribed, so everyone check to make sure you are subscribed so we can get these guys to 100K. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Really appreciate that, and I can't wait till there's a little plaque on that table.
Hell yeah. One super chat today from Chris. He asks, of the remaining games, is KState the biggest challenge in your opinion? I think Utah's going to be tough no matter who's playing quarterback.
Yeah. I don't know yet. Honestly, that's what makes the Big 12 so exciting is, you would have thought Oklahoma State would be way up there. They're obviously not playing their best ball, but they could be later in the season. Utah's going to be there, but also at the same time, Utah looked like crap last weekend. K-State got it taken to them by BYU.
Yep.
But at the same time, they're out there blowing out teams, so you never know.
Arizona, they had a very impressive win over Utah, but they've looked rather average and just like a 2-man show at times too. So,
Arizona might be the 2-man show that everyone thought Colorado was.
For sure.
And credit to their defense, though, in that game. Yeah, I mean, that's what won them that football game.
But, look, we talked a lot about how Texas Tech can't stop anyone, but they score a lot of points too.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and that's a road game.
Yep, exactly. Last minute super chat from I Agree With Me.
Nice.
Since it's a bye week, a great topic would be breaking down scenarios, trades that would have to occur for Shedeur and Travis to get on the same team. As
much as that's a good conversation of the bye week, we have the entire offseason to talk about Shedeur and Travis in the draft.
I have a friend, one of my best friends is a Raiders fan. I've talked about him on this show before, but I keep on trying to reverse jinx him that he's getting Shedeur. And he keeps trying to tell me that they're going to pull Texans for Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud to
and do Shedeur and Travis.
Yeah.
Look, I'm already really low on the NFL.
Yeah.
if the Las Vegas Raiders got Shedeur and Travis, I'm gonna have to tap out.
Pretty much.
I'm gonna watch, become a Premier League guy early Sunday mornings, and then I don't know, I'll pick up like bowling.
Come on, bro. F1.
Join some bowling leagues to take up my Sunday afternoons.
Can more time for CFB?
Yeah. I don't want to think about that. I was thinking this week though, like, obviously want the Broncos to win against the Raiders, but if they lose, I'm like, haha, one pick further away from Shedeur.
Yes. Yeah, we've been put in quite the predicament with that.
Okay, wait, really quick. Someone just mentioned, they said, there you go, X in the cut. RK, not sure if you noticed, but the golds matched from the helmet to the pant stripes with the new threads. I thought the same thing, and I was like, are those the same helmets that they wore last week? I don't think they are. I think they had 2 different shades of gold helmet. Could have just been the lighting from a night game to a day game, but I was very confused and also very happy. That uni combo, I mean, gold, white, black is so class on the road.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to dig into pictures and actually look at it to really tell. But Shedeur has like a new helmet and stuff too. He's wearing a Zenith now.
Yep.
I don't know if you noticed that. I think a few players are actually.
Also, shout out Travis. He dropped a sick new shirt. And as I always say, this is not it's never a zero-sum game. I will be getting that shirt. Also,
it's the bye week this week, but on Friday, the 5430 Alliance is hosting a meet and greet with DJ McKinney and Cameron Silman-Craig.
Sick.
At number 38, I think in Boulder.
I think that's in Denver,
Is that in Denver? So then there you go.
Dang, we might. Oh, this Friday?
Yeah, October 4th, 6 p.m.
We might have to pull up.
Check out the 5430 Alliance for more.
All right.
But yeah.
Sick.
Alrighty, we'll be back tomorrow. The bye week's pretty nice, isn't it?
No, I wish we had a game on Saturday.
Well, I mean, of course, but you've got to soak it up while we have.
You do. You have to take in the rest.
We'll see you guys then. Go Buffs.
Go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.